Yo, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big JD. Go ahead, give this channel, subscribe, share, leave some messages or comments, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. You know what to do. Victim impact is something that a lot of us don't really even think about when we're getting caught up in the prison system. The only time that we really think about victim impact or the victims of the shit that we had done or that we had created, it's the people that are involved in the case. Somebody whose house that you robbed, somebody that you shot, some bank that you robbed, some car that you stole, whatever the case may be, we look at those people as the ones that are our only victims in our conduct. Rarely, if ever, do we think about the impact that we have on the people that we love the most, namely our mother, our kids, our wives, our husbands, our brothers, our sisters, immediate family. When you first start out in going into the justice system, you get a lot of mail. You get a lot of people that are supporting you, people that are pulling for you, people that are behind you 100%, talking about, you got this, man, you got this, you're going to make it out, you're going to do good, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. After the second prison term, the third prison term, and the fourth, you start to notice people start to fall off and people lose interest and start to forget about you. You are not present in their lives any longer. It's like you just basically died. You don't no longer exist. So why are they going to send you mail? It's like, that's your life now. And people have accepted the fact that you have chosen that for your life. It's what I chose for so long. I basically signed up for the long haul, to either be in and out of prison for the rest of my life or to die in the streets. That was what I signed up for. There was nothing that was going to change it. There was nothing that was going to deter me from leaving that lifestyle or allow me to deviate from the path of destruction that I had created for myself. It was basically, I signed up for it, and if I do the crime, I'm going to do the time, and that's just the way it is. Never once did I think about the victim impact outside of my cases, whatever assaults, robberies, whatnot. I didn't think about the immediate effect it was having on what's called passive victims. And passive victims are people that aren't directly related to your case per se. They're not involved in the criminal complaint, but they're people that are affected by your actions. It's like a ripple effect. When you start to lose all these people over the years of doing time, when they start to fall off, when they stop writing you, when they forget about you, there's always, usually, in most cases, there's one person that will never forget that you are there and never forget that you exist, and that's your mother. Your mother is always there from the rip. In my case, my mother and father stayed married all the way until my dad's dying day. And me and my father communicated more through my first prison terms than me and my mother did. Me and my mom, we kind of started to communicate on my last two terms. My last state bid and my federal bid, my entire federal bid, almost all the way until the end. And I'm going to explain to you why I say almost always to the end for those of you that don't know. So my father went along for the ride for a lot of cases. He used to go to all my court cases. He posted my bail on my very first actual arrest. He's the one that used to come and get me up out of jail when I was in trouble as a kid. He was the one that come got me from school. When I got suspended, he was there all the way till the end of his life. So he didn't know his only son outside of being a criminal and in and out of prison. He didn't know his son the doctor, his son the lawyer, his son the successful family man that works a job and has good credit and has a roof over his head and drives a Dodge truck and all that stuff. He never knew a son like that. He went to the grave with his son being a criminal and a failure in this life. That affected me on a whole different level than I could even get into right now. You would really have to have done time and lost one of your parents or somebody close in your family, your wife, your kids, your brothers, your sisters. I've lost a lot of people in doing and doing time. And when I lost my father, it kind of, it changed me. Like for a second there, I tried to do good because I was thinking that I don't want to lose my mother while I'm in here. I know I got another shot. I'm going to be getting out soon. I don't want to lose her as well. But I was just so caught up in that life that it didn't matter to me, man. It's like I could think these things in the back of my mind, but I'm not really trying to change. Like I said, I gave my life to the streets. And that's what it was. The streets were my family. And that was a huge mistake on my part because I missed out on a lot over the years of being incarcerated. Going up into the federal system, I had my mother behind me. She wanted to cut me loose, which was crazy because I never thought that that day would come. We had this conversation and she was talking about cutting me loose. I basically told her, just hold on, Mom, just hold on. I can't, tell you with my words that I'm going to do good, but it is my intention to get out and do right. So I wrote her a poetic letter, and I've told this story 1,000 times, but there's a lot of yous out there that probably ain't heard it. I wrote her a poetic letter while I was in the detention center here in Grady County, Oklahoma, waiting to be transferred to the BOP. And I wrote her a poetic letter, basically saying, "Dear Mom, once again, cold prison bars separate me from you, from the world, from even myself, I think." It was a poetic letter. I knew that my mom was a poet. My mom had been writing poetry since she was 16. And she was already up in her late 60s by the time she got this poem. And she responded in a way that threw me off. She sent me a poetic letter right back. We started to exchange these poetic letters over a course of about maybe almost 2.5 years. And then we started to write commentary in between each poem, basically talking about what we were feeling as we were writing these poems. About 2 years into my federal bid, my mom revealed to me in one of these poems that she had stage 4 bone and lung cancer. I knew at that moment that I would never see my mother again. I kind of knew it when I first got busted. I had a feeling that I don't think I'm going to see my mother ever again. I just had that feeling. You just have this feeling. A son or a daughter knows their mother, and their mother knows their children. You have that connection. You came out of their body. So I was like blown away. I was about ready to basically give everything up that I had worked so hard on. I was about ready to go back into that life and just go hard all the way until the end. I had nothing left. It's like I had nothing to lose. I lost a lot of really close people in my life over the years, going all the way back to the early 90s. Good homies. The woman that I was going to marry. I've never been able to find a woman that replicates my girl Liz that I lost to a car accident on Christmas Eve, 1996. She was pregnant with my unborn child, and she had my 8-year-old stepdaughter with her. A lot of people don't know this story because I've held it bottled up for many, many years. A drunk sheriff ran him off the road and ran him into a ditch just outside of TJ, Mexico. Just like that, boom. What was the beginning of my family and what could have possibly have been something to change the course of my life was taken from me. Since that time, I've lost aunties, uncles, both of my grandmas. Then I lost my uncle. Then I lost my father, 2 of my best friends. And now I was going to lose my mother. I had nothing left to really lose in this life because I had nothing really left. Yeah, I got sisters, I got nieces and nephews. But they had basically moved on with their life, not really knowing, who their brother or their uncle was anymore. They just, it is what it is. He's in prison and he's never going to change. But my mother never gave up on me. She kept reminding them that he's going to change. He's going to get out and he's going to do something. Watch, you'll see. She took that all the way to her last dying breath. We continued to write these poems back and forth until 3 weeks up to the point to where she passed away. she wrote one last poem to me. And she told me to make her 2 promises as she sat there on her deathbed in hospice care, barely able to speak or even breathe because her lungs were just ripped apart. Her brain was getting all eaten alive with this cancer. It was affecting every part of her body. She managed to gain enough strength to say that she was proud of me and that she sees that I'm going to be doing big things. That I'm going to finally be a real man and seize control of my life. So, she told me to make her 2 promises. She said, number 1, I want you to publish our poetry into a book. I want other mothers and fathers and their sons and daughters that are impacted by incarceration to read this book. To basically feel the pain and the emotion and the separation and the struggle that we had to go through. I want them to read this book, and I want them to feel all the pain and to experience all the heartbreak they're causing their mothers, just like you did to me all these years. Now, that was the deepest part of it all. Just like you did to me all these years. I had broken her heart over and over and over again. I had put her through the ringer. We're talking running around in the streets. Somebody did a drive-by shooting on my house with my mother in the kitchen. Basically hitting the fucking dirt as people were shooting into the backyard where me and my homies were at. And me running out with a shotgun going after chasing them down the streets. The police kicking open my door and having everybody face down on the ground. My mother, my father, everybody. My sisters. As they tore the house apart and were talking shit and making fun of my father because he was all banged up and disabled. And he was pretty overweight. Talking shit about him because he was sitting on his couch in his underwear. Talking shit to my mom. Talking shit to me. She'd gone through all that. Every night she used to wonder, am I going to get that phone call that says that Jason's dead? Am I going to see him on the news? And she did see me on the news several times. Once in a car chase. Another one in dealing with Reuters News that went into Chino prison. And another time over a bank robbery. It's one thing to see your child on the news accomplishing something great. Winning a trophy. Winning the Super Bowl or even, some other kind of a high achievement accomplishment. But to see your child on the crime logs in newspapers or on the TV, this is what I put this woman through. And she never gave up on me like everybody else did. Everybody had given up. Everybody gave up on me. Except for that one woman. That is your first victim. When you create this crime. When you do what you do. When you run the streets and you cause all this pain and heartache. This is the one thing I don't really hear a lot of people talking about. When I move around through YouTube and all these different places. I don't really hear too many people putting a lot of emphasis on the pain that they caused their mother. I would challenge everybody out there that's anybody to ask your mother, what have I put you through? And tell her to be brutally honest. Because I was the biggest disappointment and heartbreak that my parents could have ever conceived. And I'm righting the wrongs right now. I started a nonprofit organization. I built my life from the ground up right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I ain't even from here. From Cali, like I said. It's like beating a dead horse, huh? But yeah, it's the truth. I got people in both the BOP and the U.S. Probation Department saying they have never seen anybody accomplish the level of success that I've accomplished, considering the circumstances. Not having a single soul helping you or guiding you in the right way or pointing you in the right direction. Nobody. Not a soul. I even asked the probation office, find me one example here in this office of somebody that was released under the same circumstances as me. They even told me back in the federal prison, you're never going to make it under the circumstances we are releasing you under. They didn't agree with it because I had tried to relocate to other places and they denied every one of them. They looked at my rap sheet. They looked at my gang affiliations. They looked at my cases. They looked at my in-custody conduct in the state, riots and various different other contraband charges and being involved in prison politics and all that. And nobody wanted nothing to do with me. They didn't want me released into their district. So I got stuck here, and I built a life for myself, man, like naked and afraid on that island. Built a straight kingdom for myself out of nothing. And it was all because of this promise that my mother told me to make. Told me to stay out of prison. Become a criminal justice activist. Publish our book, and I did. This is our book right here. You've heard me talk about it before. It's on Amazon.com. You can find it on Amazon. I'm gonna leave you the link and stuff like that. It's cheap, man. It's only like $6.99. It's only $6.99. I reduced the price all the way down, and now mind you, this ain't only like poetry and commentary between a mother and her son while they're incarcerated, but I've also done like illustrations in here. I used to draw while I was in prison, and I did a lot of art and included the art in here and put it in with this book. Each poem that's in here is broken down like a letter. I would strongly recommend that as many of you as you can get out there and get you a copy of this Dear Mom, Dear Son, Separated by Bars, Not the Heart, by Jason J.D. Rutherford and Linda L. Rutherford. And this is what the book looks like right here. This was one of the most difficult things for me to do when getting out of prison, was to write this book. See, there's me and my mom. That's one of our happier times right there. But as you can see, she wasn't even that happy then because I was on a sick one at that time. But yeah, I just want to talk to you a little bit about that. You know, I strongly recommend that any of you guys out there that still got contact with your mothers to reach out to your mother and ask her, you know, what have my actions caused for you? How have they affected you? Check out her response. If she's open and honest about it, she'll tell you just exactly what you've done to her. But if you're afraid to ask, then go ahead and check out this book, because you could parallel that to your own story, because that's the same story that's being written every single day in those prisons, every day. This is victim impact. Your first victim is your mother. Just remember that. When you're ready to break the law and you're ready to go out there and run amok and go on a sick one and do all that stupid shit, think about the people that you're affecting behind the scenes. Those are the same people who are going to be the only ones that are with you all the way to the bitter end. Everybody else is going to fall off. Just want to give you some things to think about on this one right here. And that's what it is. Prison Break Raw. Keeping it raw and real 100. Victim impact style. So you already know the ending.